Hi, and now we're moving on to texturing the tree trunk. We're going to put bark on here, but we only need the actual tree part of it. We don't need all this foliage, so we need to separate this just for that purpose, just to get it into Substance Painter so we can start painting it. So if we select this, we're going to leave our model like it is. We're just going to select that and go to File, Save As, cancel that, sorry, File, Save As, Save Selected, which is quite important. And we're just going to put HD oak tree trunk like this. We've already got the UVs on here. We don't need to do anything with this. We only need this file for Substance Painter, and we're going to create an FBX from this trunk. So save that and then go and open it. So save that. Okay, trunk, open, bink, there it is, all on its lonesome. Okay, just make sure there's nothing hidden away. No. And now all we have to do is export this. Export as an FBX. Make sure FBX is selected down here. Go and find your FBX folder. Go and find it inside here. Meshes, FBX. And we're just going to call this oak trunk like that. Make sure FBX is selected down the bottom. Oak trunk, save. Yeah, make sure these two are selected and click OK. Now go into Substance Painter. Okay, so here is Substance Painter, and now we're going to bring in our oak trunk. So select, just leave it, make sure it's on Unity 5 there as before. Select oak trunk here, open that, open GR 2048, that's all fine. We're not going to add any new materials, and click OK. And you can see our texture set list is oak tree 01 bark, which is fine, and there's our oak tree. I'm just going to have a look at the UVs, make sure they're all set up right. So if we go up here to 2D, there they are, and we can even go to tick on wireframe to have a look at that, and that looks fine. It all looks good, all laid out nicely, although we could have probably packed them a little bit better, use some more of this space for bushes or something, but that's fine for now. We can always come back and use that space later. So turn that off. Go back to 3D, if I can select the actual button. So let's start painting our bark. Basically, we want to take the same approach as we did with our sort of barrel. And what I'm going to do is just layer it out. I'm going to start with bare wood with no bark, so I can sort of chip away at some of the bark and expose the underneath of the tree in places. Might have got damaged, or animals might have clawed at it or something like that. And then I'm going to put bark on top, and I'm going to paint it up with moss and dirt, strip away some of the bark, and make it look a bit old and weathered. After all, it's a really old oak tree, so that's what we're going to be doing. And yeah, so let's get started. Let's just delete our layer up there like we normally do. We need to bake our texture set here, so we need to add our ambient occlusion. I don't want to add anything else, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So now we're just going to bake textures down here. Don't need an ID. Just bake and let it do its magic. There we go. there is our tree baked. Okay, so the first thing, let's add a fill layer here. There we go. And we can see we have our color, our height, our rough, metal, normal, and AO, which is all good. Our base color there. We can change that so it's red or whatever color we want it to be. Just do that. Okay, so I want to add a base layer of... Oh, the other thing we're going to do, sorry, is these UVs aren't, I don't believe, pointing in the right direction on some of these branches. So I think some of them are going to be like this, and some of them are going to be like this, and like that. So we're probably going to do what we did with the axe and split off some of these branches so we can rotate the UVs and have the bark and so forth going in the right direction. So first things first, let's get our base layer up. Shouldn't take too long to do this. So I know this is an oak tree, but I'm going to put a base, a wood beech base, because I like the colour of it. So I'm just going to drag this onto there like that, and straight away you can see the UVs are going in all directions there. Let me just delete that layer. We don't need that layer. It was really confusing it. So we've got a bare tree, completely bare. Let's just rotate our UVs on this, because actually it doesn't matter on this layer. It really doesn't matter. Because we're not going to be seeing much of that, only a little bit here and there. But I want to turn off some of these layers because I think it's got too much dirt and it's too noisy a texture. I think even if we took off a bit of it in the wrong place, you might get it confused with the bark. You know, I mean, I know it sounds a bit odd, but it's quite possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the dirt on the over here. If you open up your material, so you got the layers, just turn off the first three and you can see it sort of strips it down a bit more, which is cool. Going to the base wood and manipulate. You might want to change, yeah, I might turn off the dirt as well, because it's got an MG. In fact, we could probably remove that, remove effect completely. We don't need that. Yeah, nice and clean. It's very clean. Probably, you know, it's not going to look like that because we can add our own dirt to it. But that's a really good base to start from. Yeah, I like that. We can probably get rid of this, get rid of these layers on here. Remove layer, remove layer, and remove layer. Because all I'm after really is the color and the texture of that base there, which is cool, and we can add to that if we want to. And you can see here also, which is interesting, the UV of this is running pretty much in the correct direction up the main spine of the tree, but on the branches it comes out here. So we're going to have to sort of mask these off this and turn the UVs on that side. I won't do it to the base, but I'll do it to anything above here basically. And the same with some of these down here. You can see, you know, these roots will need turning. If we want bark to come down here like this, that will need turning. And yeah, so there's going to be a few masks and that branch there. So it's going to be a few masks and a few UV manipulations going on. So next up is bark. Okay, this is the one I used, I believe. Yeah, bark red oak tree. This is the one we'll be using, I believe. Put that in up there. Okay, it looks a bit extreme. That needs doubling up at least, maybe more. UV's no rotating. See, it needs a lot of work this to get right. See, something's happened to the end there. That's interesting. Okay, as soon as you do that, you can see where you need the layers. In fact, that's not too bad. It's kind of sorted itself out a bit there. We need to change this to Trine Planar to get rid of. There you go. That's when it happens. You see, and you want that because you don't want these lines. Can you see these lines here? Even though it's running in the right direction, it's your call. You can decide whether you want to leave it like that or just make the effort and add some layers like I'm going to get the bark to blend nicely and run in the correct direction also. And there, yeah, and it'll probably be on the main. You know, you can just see the seams, and that's not nice. You can see that seam down through there. Whereas if we use triplanar, you know, we can disguise it quite well. And if we rotate this again, you know, the main tree is fine, the bark, the main trunk is fine, but the branches aren't. So we have to fix this. I think that needs to go up more. Let's make that 9 because it's quite a big tree. So standing next to it like this. What if I make it even more? Let's make it 15. Let's have a look. That's kind of losing it. Now it's getting really noisy, and that's what you don't want. So let's put it back down to 7. Yeah, I think bigger is better. It's a bit more impressive when you see it like that. I'm going to go back into Max, and I'm going to have a look what's happened to this little branch here coming off this bigger one. So, you know, let's save this file, save as. I think I called it Oak Tree 01. There you go. Yep, Oak Tree 01. So save that. And just jump back into Max. And let's have a look at what's happened to this. Okay, so here we are in Max. And it was this little one here that's gone a bit wonky, a bit weird. So let's just have a look. Let's unwrap the, you know, make sure it's selected, and let's modify, click on unwrap and open the UV editor, and let's have a look at what's gone wrong. Something has gone wrong with that little root down there. Yeah, you can see it all. You can see it's all screwed up there for some reason. You can see all the. Okay, so we need to fix that. And okay, I see. Right, so here's a good example of a small thing that you're going to be have to fix from time to time. These bigger roots, we did a nice seam around where the main trunk is, and because it's got no base, it already had these seams down here. Well, this one doesn't, because we forgot to delete the polygons underneath. In fact, we'll do that now. So it was basically a big tube. It couldn't unwrap, so it was getting really confusing and confused, I should say, and turned into a big old mess basically. So we need to delete these polygons. Save us a few polygons there. So let's delete those. Oops. That's not what we want to do. Let's just collapse that first. Go into here and delete them. So now we've got edges. So if we unwrap this again now, unwrap, you can see it has edges down here now. So it'll have edges down here, and it will have edges around the main bigger root. And on some of these, I think we put a line up there so it could tear itself in half. So I think we need to do that also. So let's just draw one line in there like so. And that should do it. Open the UV editor now. We select all those. Over there, the wonky ones. Let's see if we can't. There you go. So I used the relax until flat. So it's flattened that out nicely right there. And that should fix our little problem. And make it look good. Yep, that will do it. So we close that, collapse the stack, collapse all, yes. And what we're going to have to do later is replace this in our main tree file. So we make sure we save that. Oops, cancel, save up there. We need to export that again. File, export, export, FBX. If we go to our export folder, into our FBX, and we do the oak trunk, that one. Save, yes, okay. Right, go back into Substance Painter, and here we are with this one still. So what we're going to do is modify this file, if it will let us. It should do. So what we do is we go up here, go to Edit, and we go to Project Configuration. Click on that. Yeah, so it recomputes all the channels, so we have to be really careful. So all we've done with this really is modify the UVs on this little branch down here. So it should be fine. So if we select our FBX again, oak trunk, open, preserve strokes, positions, leave that ticked off. So it's pretty much the same as it is when you start, and just click OK and it'll recompute. Dink. And there you go. Our little root is fixed. Perfect. And it didn't lose any of the other things. And we have an oak tree back working. So let's just save that. Okay. So first things first, let's start masking these branches off, because we want to rotate the bark so it runs in the correct direction. So here we add a black mask, think there. Now it'd be easier actually to add a white mask so that it's all visible. And then inside that mask we're going to paint some black around these areas here, so that we can expose them on another layer. There we go, just paint all of this out. I'm going to do one, so I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I want you to do, you know, the others. You know, you don't want to be watching me doing everything all the time. At this stage you should be fairly competent of doing these things. So let's just make it neat right there. That's cool. Okay then, so that's all running fairly. Let's just take that back a bit there. There we go.